Well, greetings, everybody. This is Mike Rochelle, the president of the Association for Information Technology Professionals, Lone Star. And we are here at our inaugural event with our great friend, Sven Gerjets. I'm also appreciative of Brian Williams, Bill Fly, and Harish Rajagopalan on the board who are joining us here. Sven, how are you tonight? And are you ready to go?
I'm great. I'm always ready to go.
I know you are. Harish, how are you tonight?
I'm doing wonderful, and thanks for making this happen, Mike. And happy to invite you, Sven, for this for the restart of the AITP.
There you go. Bill, how are you tonight?
I'm okay. I'm ready.
Very good. And Brian Williams, how are you, sir?
Fantastic.
Very good. Well, like we said, we're restarting. We had the opportunity, and Bill is going to share a little bit of the details after Sven has spoken about the transition. But the cool thing is a lot of people are asking, how did you get AITP back? Well, CompTIA gave it back after a couple of years of cajoling when they had de-emphasized professional chapters. So here we are. We're also looking at things that were working before in the old patterns and things that our younger members were asking us to think about when we were looking at new ways of being. So AITP Lone Star is serving the entire state of Texas as an online chapter, and we'll also have local events. Those local events will probably be provided by our partners, and we'll get into that in a little bit as well. The thing about AITP since 1951 has always been it's primarily a professional network. So it's a place to get to know other people that are doing things like you. And we're primarily focusing on IT professionals and leaders. So if you believe that you're a leader and you're an IT professional, then this is the place for you. We also focus on leadership and education in people, process, and technology innovation. And then the partnerships, as I said, are enrichment for you from a topical perspective. And as we have other partners joining, you'll see more and more of those kinds of activities.
Mike, Facebook Live is not active, so just want to let you know.
Okay, well, we'll just have to go without it, and we'll post it later. Okay. So I am pretty sure that LinkedIn is going live, correct, Brian?
It is.
Okay, good. So that's our primary channel. We're also on X or YouTube, if for those of you who are listening that want to go to a channel of your preference. On X and YouTube, you just look for me, and for LinkedIn and Facebook, you'll look for AITP. So Bill, we have a practice of honoring the past, and you and I spent a little bit of time this afternoon kind of thinking of who are the lifetime members that both we need to invite to be chapter members who have no cost because they've provided tremendous service to the association over the years. So can you talk about that just a little bit?
Yes, I can. I'm the historian, and I've been around with this association for better than 50 years. I've been national president, regional president, chapter president of 3 different chapters in the Dallas area. I'm a Distinguished Service Award, AITP Service Award, and others. John Cole is an AITP board member and was an ABTP Distinguished Service Award. And John's, I know, is in many years in the, what's the sister association?
Society for Information Management.
Right, SIM. And he's been quite a help to us over the years. Marvin Cox was a Dallas board member and a senior member, lifetime member for many years. I think he joined during the 80s, and he's now living off the grid in Missouri, and I don't hear from him very often. Kevin,
Bill, hey Bill, can you take a little bit of time to talk about what a senior member is? That might be a term that people are not familiar with.
Okay, a senior member is one who's been a member of this dues-paying member of the association for at least 10 years, and they are retired and can apply for senior membership. originally it was half association dues and 0 chapter dues, but then somewhere those got dropped in with the lifetime members, so they're both now.
Got it. Thank you.
Kevin Jeton in San Antonio and San Marcos. He's a professor at Southwest Texas State, I think it is, and he's a past national president and past president of the Foundation of IT Education, which, by the way, is a sister organization that provides scholarships and conferences for students and educators.
Absolutely.
Deborah Level.
And for those of you who are interested in student associations, we'll probably be partnering with Kevin on the student side, because he already has a program and award ceremonies and all kinds of contests that they can get a hold of as well.
Deborah Level is a past association president and Dallas chapter president. She joined in about 2001, and inside of about 10 years, she brought the Dallas chapter back to prominence, and then went to the association level and served as association president. She now lives, I think it's in Joplin, Missouri, somewhere in Missouri. And everybody knows Mike Rochelle. That's some of his accomplishments. David Smith is a past National Association president and regional president, actually in Region 4, but he's been a member of the Dallas chapter for many years, since I think sometime in the 80s. David Stovall is a past Abilene chapter president, and when they closed down the Abilene chapter, I suggested he join the Dallas chapter, and we applied for the senior membership for him and received it for him. He served on the national board for, I think, 4 years, and he was region president for at least that many years until, as we'll see in a little while, CompTIA purchased, or whatever you want to say, merged with AITP. Yeah. And the last person is Phyllis Slaughter. She's been a member since sometime in the 70s. I don't think she's been a past chapter president, Mike, but okay. She has been a senior member, and I'm sure she served on the board at some time or another. So that's our lifetime members. That some of them are still around. Some of them have departed for other locations. Missouri. David Smith is in Florida. David Stovall is in Idaho, and I'm in Central Texas. So we're kind of spread out now.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate you, and we appreciate those who have come before. So thank you very much for walking us through that. We appreciate that. All right. So Harish, you wanted to talk a little bit about the cost of joining. What's the big cost of joining on a monthly basis for a ITP Lone Star?
Right. You're having a coffee right now, looks like, Mike, right? So
I am having a coffee with Sven.
You spend a coffee, $6.99 a month is the membership fee, right? It's like having a coffee with someone, right? And the yearly is about $91. So you're able to hear from folks like Sven, who has done multiple transformations. And multiple topics will be also covered over the months, and that's one terms of learning. In terms of networking, it's a great opportunity to be part of the AITP, and it's as you all have heard, it's been there for a while. And the third aspect is obviously growing with the community, right? So that's kind of what I share as a takeaways. To become a member, and I would encourage everyone to become a member and be part of the association as well, and grow.
Awesome. Thanks very much. And Harish will hit a little bit more of the details of what you get from membership after our speaker tonight. So it is my great pleasure to introduce to you Sven Gerjets. Sven and I have known each other since about the year 2000. I had gone to a leadership class in '97 with the Society for Information Management with a lady. I think she was either a director or a VP at the time. I can't remember. Angela Wilger was her name. And in 2000, I started the DFW Regional Leadership Forum. We did it in Dallas and in Southern California, kind of back and forth. John Perry and I did. And Angela calls me and says, "Hey, I'm going to send you one of my guys, and you need to really watch him because he's going to become something else, you know." And she was really, really excited about having him come to the Leadership Forum. For the last 20, 22 years, I've been able to see Sven do transformations at DirecTV, at Pearson Education, Time Warner Cable, at Mattel, and really at Mattel twice. And maybe you'll even get into that, Sven, when you're talking about how to think about placing business value at the heart of digital transformation. He's actually just taking a week to be in Miami on vacation, and he's jumping out of vacation to join us tonight. So Sven, thank you very much for coming out tonight. And please take it away.
Well, thank you for having me today. You know, I'm truly honored to be the inaugural speaker at this AITP Lone Star chapter kickoff. I've been honored and blessed to work for amazing companies and on incredible teams over the years. In fact, over the last 34 years, I've been with 7 Fortune 500 companies and 3 startups. And the one constant in all of these roles has been change or transformation. I've always found that if I assume how I'm working today is the low bar, and if I constantly strive to improve and change, great things will happen. Jeff Bezos calls this day one. Always look at today as day one of your journey and try to improve from here. In this vein, I want to talk today about digital transformation and leading change. This is the area I see technology organizations falling down the most. And I think you all can drive change in your organizations while breaking up old perceptions about IT being the department of no. You can create new perceptions that we're business leaders who are focused on driving business value and who happen to know technology. That's just a bonus. So let's start with digital transformation, or the digital transformation misnomer. See, digital transformation is not about transforming digital. It's about transforming your company and creating new ways of working that are empowered by new digital capabilities. It's about digital as a catalyst for transformation. I don't consider simply refreshing or modernizing technology as digital transformation. They're not the same thing. In fact, I always tell my teams, old ways of working plus new technology equals expensive old ways of working. Digital transformation is about new ways of working that are enabled by technology. So it's different. Often the Achilles heel of a technology organization's ability to transform the company is really hinged in business partner perception of what the technology organization is capable of. It's really more cultural. In many IT organizations, they've not focused enough of their efforts on the little things that really do matter to the business partners. You know, these are the things that drive negative perceptions. If systems aren't up when the business needs them, if data is not accurate, if support's lacking, or if an employee doesn't get their computer on their start date, these are the things that I call the IT hygiene issues. They will cause negative perceptions to mount that IT capabilities are lacking in an organization, that the technology organization doesn't know what it's doing. If these perceptions exist, you'll not be seen as a viable catalyst for change. Think about it. If you went into a restaurant that supposedly had amazing food and you saw cockroaches scurrying around, I mean, would you stay? You might, but you definitely will not go back. And God forbid, you would definitely not go to the restaurant owner for advice on how to run your restaurant. Well, IT is no different. If your house is not in order, you can't be a catalyst for change within your company. You have to focus on your own transformation first. When I come into a situation like this, I often find that it's important to take a multi-pronged approach, one of stabilization, acceleration, and transformation, all in parallel. Stabilization is about the hygiene of IT. If you can't get your house in order, why would your business partner want to lock arms with you to transform the way they work? It just doesn't make sense. Acceleration is about leveraging the capabilities that you already have to orchestrate business wins and to learn new ways of working. Maybe think about working differently with your data or working differently with your old systems to generate quick wins. This is also a good time for us to cement new ways of working and new ways of thinking and acting. The cultural shift has to happen in technology first, or no progress can be made towards digital transformation of a company. Of course, the third pillar here is transformation itself, right? This is the larger change that has to happen to deliver on the company's strategy. This often takes longer. The value is not realized as quickly as we'd hope. So it's critical to get momentum early, but have plenty of wins along the way. We have to remember technology is our craft, but driving business value is why we exist. Think about it. Accountants don't account for a living. They don't dwell on the beauty and sophistication of their Excel formulas, or at least the good ones don't. They focus on the balance sheet and how to set the company up for financial success. Accounting's their craft, but business value is what they're using their craft to move forward. The same goes for technologists. We need to lean in on the business value that we're delivering with technology, not the technology itself. And I'd counsel you to spend as much time educating yourself on the various aspects of your business as you do keeping up with the latest technology trends. I think it'll serve you well. In fact, one of the things that I found is really valuable is spending time with someone in your finance team and have them teach you about your company's P&L and how they look at it and what it's telling them. It's fascinating to get this perspective. It'll help you understand what's making your company operate and how you can be a transformation catalyst for that change that's happening. I had a boss years ago that made me learn how to read a balance sheet. I thought it was the biggest waste of time. She insisted that if I didn't know how a company measures its success, I'd completely be limited in my growth potential. And it turned out to be sage advice. So I give that to you for free. The rest of this is for $6.99. When communicating with your business partners, I think, speak their language. Talk about how technology can enable them to work differently, or how it can enable what they're trying to achieve. They don't care about tech terms and lingo as the core of the message. They care about achieving their business objectives. And finally, you need to ensure that your technology roadmap ties out to your business strategy and enables the trajectory at the right time. This is really critical because I've seen a lot of organizations create a beautiful technology roadmap that gets them to full, modernized technology capabilities, but it doesn't have things in the right order. Every company's different. They have different short-term goals and different long-term ambitions. If your technology roadmap is addressing these in the wrong order, you won't last long. For instance, some companies that I've gone into, they may have cost controls in their short-term plans. You may need to solve there for better visibility and controls around spending and more automation of manual tasks. Those are the things that are going to move the needle in the early stages of the plan. Whereas other companies, they may be focused on driving global consistency and standards ways of working in the near term. And, that may require you to do a consolidated ERP capability and consolidate, global instances in the early part of the plan versus later. Because if you get those mixed up in the order, you're going to be delivering potentially value, but it's not the value that the business needs to actually hit their strategic objectives. So it's really critical to line those technology roadmaps up with the business strategy in the order that as a company you're trying to achieve them. From a pure technology perspective, both of these paths could be right or wrong and could be debated all day long. So without the lens and alignment of what your business needs to deliver and when it needs to deliver it, you'll end up disconnected. You'll be a barrier to execution. You'll most likely be replaced. And nobody wants that. All of this that I've talked about, though, is predicated on the ability to drive change in an organization, whether this is changing how the technology organization executes or changing how your business operates. The fundamental capability here that we're talking about is change. It's the ability to drive change. In 2007, Harvard professor John Carter wrote a case study called Leading Change: Why Transformation Efforts Fail. I've been using these principles for almost 20 years, and I think to this day, there's no clearer framework for facilitating change in an organization. There's basically 8 principles that are required to successfully lead lasting change or lasting transformation. So I'm going to take you through them quickly. You start with establishing a sense of urgency. You have to convince the majority of leaders that the status quo is more dangerous than leaping into the unknown and trying something new. From there, you form a guiding coalition. This is similar to the book The Tipping Point. If you can get 20% of your organization to change, the rest will follow suit, or they'll self-select out. Handpicking your guiding coalition and focusing on the most influential people in an organization is a really good pro tip. And you work with them to convince them about the change and set them up to be the catalyst for change within your organization. Those influential people will help drive the change for you. Next, you create a clear vision of where you're going. You use words that people can visualize. They'll remember the visual words better. Stay away from abstract concepts. Come up with tangible examples that people can remember. And you communicate this vision and the principles over and 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 over again. And when you get sick of saying the same thing, you say it over and over and over and over and over and again. You just keep going. It's important for your organizations to hear things consistently, so they pick up the same language cues and they spread the message themselves for you. It's an accelerant in driving transformation. You also want to empower people to act on this vision. Remove the systems and structures that'll undermine the vision. For instance, if you're measuring old KPIs that don't align to the new vision, stop. Get new KPIs that measure the success you're trying to create. Stop measuring the past ways of working. You need to encourage non-traditional ideas, non-traditional activities and actions. That's the whole point of transformation, is stopping what you're doing and doing something that's more productive and more relevant. You want to create short-term wins. Orchestrate small successes. These will snowball and they'll create a vacuum for change. You got to recognize these wins, celebrate them, reward people that are creating the change within your organization. This will create a snowball effect and move the change forward faster. And use the credibility that you gain with these small wins to change the system structures and policies within your organizations or within your companies, so that they stop incenting the old ways of working and they accelerate to drive more change. You use them to alter the perception as well as the ways of working. So the perception of the organization that these changes can't happen. And then finally, you institutionalize these methodologies, and this becomes your new normal. It's the new low bar for you to start all over again. And this is sometimes the hardest thing. And Mike mentioned, driving transformation twice at Mattel. But, once you get your transformation implemented, you've finished step 1 and you are off to step 2, and you figure out, now that you're at the new low bar, where do you go from here? So, no matter what level you are in an organization, these principles are for you. The way you make a name for yourself is by being a catalyst for change in your organization and being passionate about driving business value. Nothing else you do in your organization will drive more of your future potential than your ability to drive change and be truly passionate about making the business successful and driving shareholder value. If you're lower in the organization and you don't know where to start, my theory has always been focus on your area of control and your area of influence will grow. If it sounds familiar, it's from the book 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. It's the only habit I can remember, but it served me well. So I'll give that one to you as well for free. So Mike, thanks for having me. I hope this will be helpful to you and your organization on its journeys, and I'm happy to elaborate on anything more or take any questions that people might have.
Well, thank you very much, Sven. Appreciate that greatly. Just to get everybody going, on whatever platform you are on, it looks like YouTube, Facebook are coming through just fine, and perhaps LinkedIn. You can add a comment in the position that you're at, and it should show up for us. If it doesn't, you can connect with Harish on Facebook or Brian Williams on LinkedIn and ask your question. And Sven, just to get you started, I threw one up there based on a conversation that you and I had the other day. When you're coming into a new organization for the first time and you're trying to figure out how to get to that 20%, the tipping point, as you described. Do you espouse top-down or bottom-up transformational programming, or both? And you had kind of had a change of mind. So if you could talk about it historically, how you've done it multiple ways and how you would think about it now.
Well, look, I think it both, I will say. And I think it depends on where you're at in the organization. Early in my career, I always focused on transforming, whatever I was working on. And, it was bottom up because it wasn't along the lines of where maybe the company was driving, but it was what needed to happen to achieve, the goals that my little world revolved around and my, job kind of impacted. But I think, if you step back and think about digital transformation in and of itself, it's critical that is top down, bottom up, right? It's top down from the perspective of understanding where the business strategy is going, understanding how the technology roadmap aligns to that, being innovative about changing the way we're working. But all of that also has to drive change throughout the organization. And the best model is when you're driving, big change and the organization pivots and people start thinking differently and they start operating differently and you start getting momentum and you get that snowball effect. And, that's an accelerant for change. If,
Absolutely.
All of the people in the organization are trying to improve what's going on with a vision of where the company's going and where the strategy is heading, I mean, that's magical, but it takes a while to get there. So it can start from either end, but true digital transformation within a company really has to line out to the business strategy. So, for all intents and purposes, it becomes top down.
Absolutely. Okay, great. I have another question here. Brian, you want to go ahead and ask it?
Yeah, just how long do these corporate transformations take in your experience?
I think they're never ending. There's phases of things, and I think transformation can happen pretty rapidly, but by the time the transformation happens, you're kind of off to the next one. Like I said, it's your new low bar, and I found that 2 to 3 years is about the length that you can plan for and execute against. And then it's time for the next round. And that's kind of how we looked at it at Mattel as well in the technology organization. After the first 3 years of transformation, we kind of set up the next, we called it 2.0. IT folks are not always the best marketers, but that one was That one was a zinger. But we called it 2.0 and took on the next set of tasks. Did something similar at DirecTV as well. And I think it keeps it fresh if you kind of, try to take it into a bite-sized chunk like that. But I think the core of it is after that transformation's done, you start the next one and you keep the momentum going.
Wonderful.
Absolutely. So Sven, we have another, this is from the AITP Lone Star. For those who don't know your career, can you give us a quick rundown of the major transformations you've run and what you learned at each one?
Yeah, that's a good question, and hopefully I'll try to be brief. I started my career at a company called Mattel Cellular in the early 90s. That was bought by AT&T, became AT&T Wireless, spun out as a separate company, and then was bought by Singular. I was there 14 years. Mattel Cellular was one of the AB players, and it was a rocket ship ride. It was like, I can't imagine a better place to train. When you go into a company that's growing that rapidly. I mean, if you think about, I started in 1990, think about the changes that happened between 90 and 2000, whenever I left, was 2003 or something. I think there I was part of a big growth trajectory, but a lot of the transformations and a lot of the roles that I played, I think I played 9 different roles in 14 years there. And a lot of them were about transforming for growth. And there's different things that you transform for. Sometimes it's for growth, sometimes it's for profitability, sometimes it's for new competition. It can be a lot of different things. But that was kind of my, amazing place to get, really broad knowledge. I've played roles in other places that, Symantec, where we were growing our e-commerce business, and there, it was this pivot in marketplace and changes in the way customers were interacting with our products, and things coming off the shelf and going on into subscription services. DirecTV, it was about growth. It was a great place. The transformation that I led there was focused on how do we scale, like how do we double our output of technology to keep up with the pace of the business. It's one of the few times that I've had the privilege of trying to figure out how to spend more money. Usually it's how do you get more with what you have, or how do you get more with less? There it was like, how do we keep up with this growth machine at the time, where we were really trying to continue to move the business forward, transform the way we were interacting with our customers, and move it forward. And we had to figure out ways to scale. That was where we used outsourcing, honestly, outsourcing for a scale play versus a cost optimization play, because we just couldn't ramp up fast enough in these different technologies that we were scaling up in. Mattel was very much, when I joined, I thought it was a growth turnaround. It was very much initially a profitability turnaround. And I talked about having to line out your technology roadmap with your strategy, a business strategy. There going in, I probably, for 5 seconds, thought maybe we needed to do a consolidated ERP play, but it became very clear quickly that we needed to get quick wins around cost containment and optimization, so that we could, grow the business, grow a healthy business. So I really learned that you have to make a pivot. And I'd say all of the things that I went through are things that I learned in the transformations, either from failures or from successes. Often, you learn more from a failure and then you cement the learning in your next success. But yeah, I think, it's been fun and lots of great brands along the way.
Awesome. Yeah, it's been fun watching you do that as well. We have one from LinkedIn. Brian, you want to read this, or would you like me to?
Yeah, sure. Dave West, appreciate the question there. It says, change is sometimes heavily resisted, even at the highest levels of an organization, hence the 8 points you mentioned. Well, what are those interpersonal strategies that you found that works well for getting naysayers and staunch traditionalists on board with accepting and then later embracing those changes?
Yeah, I've found, like, if I had to pick one, I think empathy is probably the biggest thing that I've found as a success driver. I've told my teams in the past, like, especially my commercial teams, your job is to make sure that our salespeople get the biggest commission possible. Because if you care about their paycheck as much as they do, you will be a key partner, and you'll be able to help them drive change and help them transform. I spent time after AT&T Wireless. I went to a startup for a few years and got to play a lot of different business roles in that startup, and I learned what it's like, to run media and not have the phones ring. I learned what it's like to set up call centers, and I've learned what it was like to have to deal with returns and things like that. It was on a very small scale, but when I went back into more technology roles, I almost was forced into that empathy position. And I think if you can really understand what drives your business, understand what motivates the business folks you're working with, and really have empathy and put yourself in their shoes, and really focus on the fact that technology is there as an enabler for their success, and their success drives the company's success. That is a big win and will help drive momentum. I'd say the other biggest thing, though, that I see again in technology organizations is, again, they don't focus on the little things, and they wonder why the business is not listening to them or trying to work with them to drive change. And it can be as dumb as some new employees having to wait 5 to 10 days for a laptop when they start. We think about, a lot of times we think about end user computing as a very non-strategic, kind of a tactical function. And my opinion is it's actually one of the most strategic functions to drive perception around what IT is capable of, because you deal with every employee in the company. So if the systems aren't there on time, if they don't work, if you're not giving good support, I always tell my teams we want consumer-like capabilities in end user computing. Just like you go buy an iPad and it works. You download apps, they work. It's up when you need it. It's reliable. You can get it quickly. That's the kind of service we have to provide. And so I think you have to also make sure that you're focusing on that perception piece. So if you have really strong empathy and you can address the things that are making the business have a perception of IT that they're not strategic or business enabling partners, that will grease the skids more than anything.
Thank you.
So Harish, you had 2 questions. I'm gonna play them quickly here because I think they go together.
Yeah,
So,
I can talk about this, Mike.
Yeah.
Just curious, how do you pick areas, right? For example, customer facing, which is typically a front end systems, which is very critical to growth of the business, versus equally important your supply chain, ERP systems, and others, or buzzwords like AI. How do you pick and choose and prioritize, Sven?
When I go into an organization, I think the key that I always look for is where's the company, where are they trying to get, and what are the things that technology can do to accelerate that. Because generally you'll find everything needs some level of work, and you can't work on everything, and you have to figure out where you can move the needle the fastest, and get the value that the organization needs at the time they need it. For instance, if you're in a company that needs to get profitable, you shouldn't be spending a ton of time on growth systems. You should be making sure you're addressing those profitability gaps.
Mm-hmm.
Once the profitability is there, I'm sure growth will come along, and you'll have to focus on those growth systems. And so I think it's important that you really, really line out with where the business is moving and line out to the business strategy. I do think that part of our role is to understand where tech capabilities and technology is going, to make sure that we're bringing the right types of capabilities and working with our business partners to understand how they can create value for the company. AI is one of those. AI is, I wasn't sure I was going to try to get through the whole talk without AI coming up once, but it had to. But AI is one of those. We have to embrace it and be the leaders in the organization to ensure that it's being utilized properly. I think, we don't want to lose this moment or the momentum, but it requires us to understand what it's good for, where AI has high value, where it's viable, because there's so many parlor tricks out there still, that aren't really enterprise ready or really don't deliver value. They're just cool tricks on, Facebook or LinkedIn. Where the risk is low to the company and where adoption is great. Those are the areas where we should be really leaning into AI. But we should be working with our business partners to figure out how they're operating, where AI can take away, the work that's wasting their time so they can focus on higher level work, and, moving that forward. And so you do have to, as a CIO or CTO, you do have to, have pockets of innovation and R&D that are looking beyond the pure business strategy and business value, but those always have to circle back to what value are they going to deliver for the company. It's not about the tech; it's what the tech enables.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thanks.
Awesome. Brian has another question as well, Sven.
Oh yeah, it's just, what have you seen in your experience been the cause of the biggest failures of transformation?
I mean, I think the biggest are generally, like, if you think about macro transformation, I think the biggest are not a clear understanding of the vision, not a clear understanding of how the company gets to that vision. Misaligned incentives are often one of the biggest areas that will drive failure and transformation. So if you have two organizations that are incented to deliver different things, or measuring value or measuring success in different ways, that's where politics comes in. That's where, those things, come to play. I think lack of transparency is a big deal. I find that being very clear with what's happening, where we're at, what's good, what's bad, just being 100% transparent on those things really helps squash politics and really helps highlight early what's going on. Because the other big thing that will drive failure in a transformation is a failing big late versus failing small early, and pivoting and adjusting. Yeah.
Good. Thank you.
Awesome. So Sven, we're not getting the question that I think most of the people that accepted the meeting request and RSVP'd really wanted to know. You've been on the beach for a couple of days, and we're dragging you back into business. So I'm just going to ask the question I think everybody wants to know. Where's your heart? Where do you want to take yourself and your family moving forward? And do you have any thoughts in that regard?
Yeah, I mean, I did decide to leave Mattel a couple weeks ago. As Kenny Rogers says, you got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them, know when to walk away, and know when to run. Right. But I was not running away from anything there. It's a great place with an amazing team that I loved working with. But I think it's in these transformations, it's often also time to get new sets of eyes on things, and I think it was a great time after 7 years there. We did a lot of amazing work, a lot of transformations. So I'm really excited about them having a fresh set of eyes to kind of look at where I left it as the new baseline. I think going into roles, you always want to leave what you took over in a better place.
Yeah.
And I don't have any plans. My plans were to focus 100% on Mattel until my last day, and now for the next 3 weeks, focus 100% on relaxing and doing nothing. And after that, I'll go figure out my future. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Well, you have some of the biggest cheerleaders here in your company tonight, so we really appreciate you coming and spending time with us. And you're welcome to hang around as we go through the closing parts of our chapter meeting and get a little bit of the details of what's next and things like that. And anytime you're in Dallas, look us up. We'd be happy to have you come and join our speaker of the month and banter back and forth with them as well.
Great. Thank you. Well, congratulations on relaunching the chapter, and I wish you lots of success and lots of growth with the chapter here. So, and thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
No, it was our pleasure. Thank you for being available, and especially in this time of transition for you and being on vacation. So thanks a lot.
Have a great week.
Yep, you too.
Thanks, Sven.
All right. So that was awesome. Really appreciate Sven spending some time with us. We do have some coverage that we need to do. Brian, you want to talk a little bit about our mission as we've laid it out for the new AITP Lone Star?
Sure. Yeah. This mission is actually really vital, and it's near and dear to my heart. So it's really to provide that superior leadership and education in the information technology field. When I was young, coming out of college, really looking for that leadership, I found partners and groups such as this to help me in my career and early in my career, to help mentor me and guide me in some of those early decisions. And this group and this organization can help young professionals in this process and in their journey, especially early in their journey, to really guide and help them make sound decisions and be able to ask questions about where their career is and where they want their career to go. So, and this also gives a forum for learning and education about the new technology, new areas, new fields that really this industry is transforming into as we see with AI and some of the technologies. It's really transforming. And so that's really what this chapter is all about, and this group is all about, is really to help and benefit our members as well as the industry that we work with. So
awesome. Thank you very much, Brian. As you've seen tonight, we have an incredible cadre of speakers coming. So Sven was the first, but we have quite a few that are lined up through November already. Friends who have been in the market for some time. We actually opened up the event for June 20th, which is 1 month from now. We're always on the third Thursday at 7 p.m. And as you'll see, we're going to end right at 8 o'clock as well. So it's an hour of power for you guys on a monthly basis, IT professionals and leaders who are looking to get insights from top leaders. Ed Marks used to be the CIO here at Texas Health Resources, was the CIO at Cleveland Clinic and many other places. He now runs an advisory specifically regarding IT for healthcare. And he's going to be talking about leadership lessons from climbing tall peaks. So that'll be kind of a cool thing. That's going to happen on June 20th. We'll hit that and some other information about that next. Then in July, we'll have Andy Ivey coming out. He's talking about business advantage through cybersecurity, some really interesting things that he and his team are doing there. Clay Aina is joining us in August and is going to talk about how to integrate digital experience with growing your team as you're building in merger and acquisition land. Likewise, Rusty Kennington is going to join us. He's going to share with us insights from a 3-time private equity chief information officer. So he's done multiple transformations as well, and they're unique because they're private equity owned. Clay's is as well, but this one will be Rusty's focus. Joe Vaughn, who's the CTO at MoneyGram, is going to be joining us, and he's going to talk about pioneering progress, the fintech revolution's triumphs and trials. He has some really cool things in the works right now, and I think he'll have some new apps to share with you guys when he gets together with us in October. And finally, at least at this point in November, Renee Arrington, who's the president and COO of Pearson Partners International, is going to share with us Executive Catalyst, the board's quest for tech-forward leadership, steering transformation in the C-suite helm. So looking forward to seeing all of those folks speak and looking forward to sharing that with you guys as well. We said that the chapter is kind of an online chapter, and that's sort of the superstructure of the organization for the whole state. And because we're online, people that are not even in the state anymore can still come. I think we're the 9th largest economy now in the world, which is pretty extraordinary. So we have a lot of great things that are going on here in Texas. We want to share those. We'll actually be at the Elevate IT here in Dallas on June 5th and in Houston on September 19th. So you can come to those and you use the AITP 24, and that's a free event for you. I've been to several of those events over the years, and they're extraordinary. They have great speakers, great panels, great event, and Casey does a wonderful job. So we'll see you guys in Houston or Dallas for that. Likewise, on Tuesday of next week, I have a friend, Rick Bemis, who I just got reconnected with after a long time. He's been doing AI, but he's doing it from a practical perspective in corporations. So he's going to be talking about, and he's been a data geek from the AT&T wireless days back when we did the 1G strategy for the strategy group there. So he's going to be sharing on growing the next version of you, which is my leadership in company product or show. So that's one of our partners. I am a partner as well as the president. So you'll be able to see any of the things that I'm doing. And that'll come out. If you join the chapter, you'll start seeing things from our partners showing up in our meetup group, because we've set up an ecosystem, and that will become more clear as we go. Actually, since Bill is here and is our historian, Harish, I went ahead and asked him to cover the slide.
Absolutely. He's the right person to do
history better than we do. So, Bill, can you just give us a little bit of a rundown about how we came about and what was before us?
Yes, the association dates back to 1951. We were actually called the National Machine Accountants Association, which were the group of people that worked on the old tabulating equipment, the sorters, the collators, etc., wired boards. They got together to form the association, and then later on, they went from tab equipment to computers. They went to Data Processing Management Association, and then in about 95 or 96, we rebranded ourselves as the Association of IT Professionals. And then in 2016, we became a subsidiary of CompTIA, and they to leverage their strengths, and they had many, many members. And CompTIA was officially launched. CompTIA AITP was officially launched in July of 17. CompTIA AITP Dallas was named Chapter of the Year for Growth in 2017, and then CompTIA started de-emphasizing professional chapters, and so they closed many of their chapters, including and we left because of that de-emphasize whatever. In this year, we became a separate organization when CompTIA decided to return the brand and IP to AITP's past leaders. And this is a group of people in Chicago, LA, Atlanta, and Dallas, and several other of the large chapters kept after CompTIA to give us the brand back and let us go forward with it. So they finally did that this last month and transferred the brand and ownership back to this group. And one of the nation's oldest chapters, Dallas, is being remade into the AIT Prelim Star to be an online chapter serving the entire state. And IP professional members have worked diligently since 71 to ensure meetings are content-based, and IT pros leave with new applicable ideas for implementing digital people processes and change. As one of the Technology Association's more significant chapters of the past, we will cover a wide range of people and processes that you've already seen from the list of programs and speakers for the rest of the year. And I could go on for probably a couple hours about the history, but that's a short synopsis of it.
Yeah, as you saw in that list that Bill shared with us earlier on our lifetime members, there were many, many members here in Texas who were past national presidents, who are now, former members, but members again through us. So thank you very much, Bill. I want to cover this one because what I've said this a couple of times. Basically, what we're becoming is, and I'm going to go back for one slide. So this picture comes from Lord of the Rings, and it's Anduril, the Flame of the West. And if you remember the story, it's the sword that was broken when they killed Sauron the first time, and it was shattered, and then it was remade. So what we're the inference that we're drawing is that we're remaking the chapter, but we're making it better, we're making it sharper, and to assist more folks. So we'll do statewide online meetings, and we'll continue to grow those efforts in 1 hour educational online networking opportunities for members. And then, as you've already seen, we have some local events in Houston and Dallas, but other partners will be added to the ecosystem as well. So stay tuned on those because they'll be doing local events. And frankly, as I was talking with Clay Aina, for those members who have large facilities and want to run groups that are SIGs, special interest groups, they can do that in their area. And as members, we will add them to our ecosystem events. So basically, we're trying to become the best of both worlds. And we're doing this from an agile perspective. So this is version 1. Our website is Meetup. That is our website for now, right? Version 1. Once we get enough members to start funding some more advanced membership systems, we'll do that. And then as we continue to get new partners that are adding resources to our cadre, then we'll start looking at other events as well. So that's kind of how we're thinking about building the chapter or remaking the chapter. Harish, you want to talk a little bit about membership value? You talked a little bit about the cost, but what are all the benefits of becoming a member?
Absolutely. Benefits of, as I said earlier, it's about a coffee cost, right? The worth of a coffee, $6.99 a month. And this is going to open up quite a bit of networking in terms of with your peers, with the leaders in the technology community, learning, like listening from Sven, we kind of learned about how change management is critical from a transformation perspective, how he picks and prioritize. So we kind of get to learn and also network. Then you also have a monthly chapter meeting, and if there are any other partner events, which we are planning to do down the line along with some of our partners, you will also be able to have access to those events, which will again help you network, learn, and grow. And also, the event for the partnerships from an event participation, it's also discounted as well, depending upon the level of partnership they become and the number of events they could do as well, apart from the monthly chapter meetings. And also, as becoming a member, you can also lead some of the membership interest group and manage those groups as well. So, absolutely. So a lot of benefits, and I've been with the AITP for since I moved to Dallas in 2015, and yes. I've learned quite a bit, and I've grown from a networking perspective as well as learning and growing. So yeah, personally, I have been impacted with that as well.
Thanks very much, Harish. And then if you are interested in becoming a partner, contact any of the three of us or Bill, who I think has called it an evening, as we will in just a second. Again, I want to thank Bill, Harish, and Brian for joining me as the founding board of directors for AITP Lone Star. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. And realize that we have 3 different places for you guys to look to hear messages coming from AITP Lone Star, either on LinkedIn or Facebook. And then membership is at membership.com/AITP-Lone-Star. So you can join there. We already hit this one, I think, too many times, but you guys please join And then the reason being is that you'll get updates on Ed Marks that's coming June 20th. These meetings have already been scheduled. So you can go to LinkedIn or AITP site, AITP Lone Star site on LinkedIn or Facebook and connect to those. Or you can join and you'll get connections to those through the meetup. And I think that's it. What you'll notice is I put the links here. If you take a picture of this, I know it will happen in an iPhone anyway. If you take a picture, you can highlight that link and then go to that link. And it's a really cool feature for either Facebook or LinkedIn. I'll leave that there for another 5 seconds. And then, last but not least, thank you very much for coming tonight. It's 8 o'clock, so we're going to say goodnight. Bye-bye.